We're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, welcome to you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are back for another webinar to talk about health and wellness, a Black perspective. So the goal here, as we always say, we want to educate, inspire, and support our alumni as they think about all the different aspects and facets when it comes to health and wellness. So once again, welcome. We're so glad that you are here. I am going to turn it over to my colleague, John, to open things up with a few remarks.
Thank you, Sandra, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is John Elston, and on behalf of the UCI Black Alumni Chapter and all the Black alumni, I want to say thank you for joining us today. We're back once again for another presentation in this wonderful series entitled Health and Wellness, a Black Perspective. A little bit about it. This series was born out of the longtime philosophy in our community, each generation is supposed to get better. I actually saw this philosophy in action, not only as a student at UC Irvine, but since that time, I've seen it happen. And 40 years later, to this day, that philosophy has clearly worked. The Black alumni at UC Irvine represent a gold mine of talent. This greatness and experience include a wide array of professions. These seminars are our way of utilizing this talent pool of Black professionals as we like to share what we've learned in the hope that, like us, you too will get better. Today is a special presentation because it represents our 1-year anniversary of the Health and Wellness, a Black Perspective seminar. So we want to say thank you to everyone that's here today, and thank you to everyone that has supported us over the last year. During that time, we've covered a wide array of topics, including COVID-19, educating our children, mental health, financial health and home ownership, and estate and trust planning. Our webinars are open to students, alumni, friends, family, community members, and anybody that wants to come. They're free, and the information that's disseminated is clearly invaluable. So please encourage all to attend. This is some of the best information that anyone has seen in a long time. So today we have another great topic, and it's simply living longer and staying healthy, something that should be very near and dear to everyone's heart. But before we begin, I want to say thanks to a lot of folks that helped make this happen. To everyone online, again, I want to say thank you for joining us today. Wendy Day Brown from the Alumni Association, thank you for your continued support. Also, thanks to our very talented and diverse UC Irvine Black Alumni Chapter Board. We represent some of the best, and we cover a lot of different generations, but I want to thank them for their support. Finally, our presenters today. 3 more of UC Irvine's best. I have personally known them, and believe me when I tell you, they are some of the best. More importantly, their lifelong commitment to keeping us healthy speaks volumes about who they are. Simply said, a very special thank you to each one of you, and we hope that you will continue to support them in everything that they do. And last but not least, your host, organizers, and the 2 alums beside myself, whose commitment has made this happen for the last year. You 2 are awesome alums, so everyone, please show them some love. First, we have UCI class of 2004 with a bachelor's in sociology and an MBA. She is a marketing professional. Please welcome Ms. Sandra Rosenfeld. Secondly, from UCI class of 1995, with a BA in political science and a master's in public administration. She is an associate director of facilities. Please welcome Ms. Arnesia Bryant. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bryant. Thank you, Arnesia.
Thank you for those warm introductions. I would just like to pause and take a minute to inform you of some of the items that will help you throughout this webinar. So before I get into the webinar disclaimer, I want to let you know that all questions can be placed in the chat. All questions can be placed in the chat or the Q&A section preferably the Q&A section, but if not, the chat will work fine, and we will get those questions to the presenters and they will be answered. We're very good about doing that. We also want to let you know that we have put bios in the chat so that you can download those for your viewing and your referencing. Lastly, I would like to let you know that we have a webinar disclaimer. And so the information presented in today's event is provided for general information purposes only and does not constitute legal or other professional advice or any subject matter. The University of California, Irvine, UCI Alumni Association, Black Alumni Chapter, and webinar panelists do not accept any responsibility for any loss which may arise from reliance on information presented in today's event. Some of the links shared may lead to websites operated and maintained by third parties. We are providing these links solely as a convenience, and the presence of such links do not imply any responsibility for the linked site or an endorsement of the linked site, its operator, or its contents. So thank you so much for understanding that and being enlightened with that webinar disclaimer. And the next thing I would let you know too is that there is a plethora of knowledge that will be shared. I advise you to take notes, and again, place all of your questions in the chat or the Q&A section. So with that being said and done, I would like to move forward with letting you know that at the end of this session, there will be an opportunity for us to give out gift cards for those who pay attention and who are still present. So please ensure that you are paying attention and that you have the answer, because once we ask you the question, we will be asking for the answer, and those people will be put into an opportunity drawing for the gift card. So thank you so much for that, and then we'll move forward.
Thanks, Arnesia. So with that said, as we get right into the presentation here, this is all about taking care of yourself. So we're here to talk about the different ways and tips on how you can achieve total wellness. And this particular topic came about just from us doing all of the previous webinars where we talked about different aspects of health and wellness. And we realized that when we're thinking about this, it's not just about how we take care of our bodies, how we take care of our mental health. We realize that in a lot of ways, it's holistic. So it's a lot of different aspects. So it's not just about how you can engage your physician, how you can engage your dentist, how you can engage your trainer or someone that you work with when it comes to exercising. All of that matters, and it's combined. So what came from all these discussions, we realized let's have all of these people in the same room and have a discussion about that, because we know that it's all intertwined and it all supports each other, because what can affect you in one part can definitely have an impact or influence on another part of your body. So it's really important to think about all of that together. So as Arnesia said, she placed the bios in the chat. And so without further ado, want to introduce our wonderful and talented panel. So we have Cheryl Bingham, who has an extensive background when it comes to dental care. We have Michael Corin, who also has a background when it comes to exercise and fitness. And then last but certainly not least, we have Stephen Green, who has a wide-ranging background when it comes to medicine and medical care. So without further ado, we are just going to go right into it and just start the discussion. So as I said, when we think about health and wellness, many of us know the numbers, the trends that are out there. When it comes to African Americans, many of us many African Americans, when we think about the health trends and the stats, many African Americans are not living as long compared to our counterparts when it comes to major incidences or major conditions or diseases like stroke, heart disease, diabetes, cancer. In a lot of ways, we tend to experience higher rates. We tend to experience the more aggressive versions of these conditions. And a lot of times it affects us a lot faster and a lot sooner and in a lot more harmful and painful. And so in this discussion, what we're not going to do is just not so much focus on those numbers and trends. What we want to do is just focus on what can we do from a practical standpoint on a daily basis on how can we remain healthy, not only for ourselves, but for our families and for our loved ones. So we want to take a moment and just really talk about that and all of, again, the practical ways that we can do that. So my first question is going to go over to Dr. Stephen Green. I'd like to ask you from a broad view, as we think about, as I mentioned, the trends and all of that, would you describe, or how should we be thinking about medical care, and how do we make that practical for ourselves?
First, thank you, Sandra. First of all, I want to thank you guys for inviting me to speak today. It is an honor and really a privilege. It's a part of the reason that I went into medicine in the first place. I've been practicing medicine for 33 years in various areas. A lot of time was spent in the ER. And in that venue, I have saved many, many lives. I've also lost many, many lives. And so the practice of medicine is so humbling, and it provides some enlightening realizations that I could spend 3 hours talking about. And so as I realized that we don't have that much time, I was contemplating, what could I say to a group of folks from a diverse background, that could have an impact and at least get the ball rolling in the right direction, and to help them help people deal with some of the challenges that they're dealing with. And so what I came up with, I decided to talk about cars. Yeah, cars. Everybody tends to have a car. I know, I have one, and when I have my car, the one thing I don't want to see happen is my car breaking down. If my car breaks down, I'm in trouble, because it's important I get from point A to point B. If I'm driving my car and I see a red light come on the temperature gauge, I'm taking the car to the mechanic immediately. Why? Because I don't want it to break down. What I have found in the practice of medicine is that people tend to treat their cars better than they treat themselves. Because when they find themselves breaking down, they don't address it. Sometimes they act almost like an ostrich. If I cover my face and I don't see you, you don't see me. And that's just not the way it is. So one of the biggest challenges that I've found with my patients over the years is having them to face the fact that they have an issue and to seriously address it. And so the car analogy, it works well. See, because wellness is a process. It's not snap, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go see Mike's going to teach me a lesson, then I'm going to be perfect shape. Or I'm going to go to the dentist one time and then Cheryl's going to fix it. I'm going to be in perfect teeth. No, it doesn't work that way. It's a process. And the number one thing you can do in this process is like in your car, if you want to go someplace, the most important step is to face the right direction. I mean, if you want to go to Mexico and you're facing San Francisco, you're going to end up in Canada someplace, and you'll never get where you want to go, no matter how much effort and time you put forth. So the thing with wellness does is it's about a process. I tell people that when you have a good car, it's a good car not because you bought it, because you maintain the tires, you rotate them, you check the air, you check the oil, you're cleaning it constantly, because you want that car to be running at top shape, because you want it, when you get in it, you need to go. You need to look at your body the exact same way. And this is so vital, because so many times we don't. Like, for example, you put the best gasoline in your car, but you eat the junk food. Why? I mean, it's the same concept. put junk food in, you'll get a bad running car. So the point is, it's time now to face the right direction. And that's what I want you to leave. If you leave with nothing else, to I am going to face my health challenges realistically. And more importantly, I want you to understand this one point before I turn it back to Sandra, is that you can drive to New York City from Los Angeles, only being in the dark, only being able to see 50 feet ahead of you. All you have to go is that 50 feet and then another 50 feet. And little by little, you'll look up one day and you'll be where you want. But you cannot be discouraged if you can't see the whole path all the way. So I want to encourage folks now that as of today, whatever your health challenges are, or even if you're feeling okay, to face the right direction and accept the responsibility of, this is my car, nobody's gonna maintain my car better than me. I don't want my car breaking down. And I'm gonna start seeing my doctors and my trainers and my dentists on a regular basis. And I'm gonna face whatever challenges they bring up. So that's my introduction. It's nice speaking to all you folks this morning.
I'm loving this already. You dropped so many gems already. And I feel like you read me a little bit by telling me about the oil change light in my car, checking my tires and all that. I got to go check on that. Just like I got to check if, if I'm feeling a bit tired or fatigued, it's like, oh, maybe there's something going on, right? So, but seriously, I do appreciate you sharing those words that just like your vehicle, if you see that engine light come on, if you see that warning about, hey, maybe the tire pressure is low, just like with our own bodies, that could be a signal. Just like I'm checking my car right now, let me check on my body. Like, how am I feeling? Maybe it's time to contact my doctor, check in with the healthcare provider, see if everything is still working well. You know, so I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. And I really appreciate the cars analogy. I think a lot of people will relate to that and understand that. So with that said, I am going to pivot over to Cheryl. I'd love to hear your perspective when it comes to dental care. I know for many people, they tend to put it on the back burner until a tooth or teeth are hurting, right? And even then, they will ignore that. They might think, you know what, let me just go on ahead to the drugstore, get me some oral gel, put that on my tooth, and I'll be fine and keep it going because I don't have time to go to the dentist. Or I'm scared of the dentist, right? So Cheryl, can you speak to us about how we should be sort of broadly thinking about our dental care?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here representing my school, UC Irvine, and my field, dentistry. Now, dentistry, I think, is something that's even more dismissed than physical health. Number one, because most people are afraid of the dentist. And number two, because like you said, you just go to the drugstore and you get some oral gel. But I'm here to tell you, CVS, Walgreens, wherever you go, they are not your friend, okay? Even for your body. You know, I remember when my practice is in Watts, and there was a building where I started that had a pharmacy, a physician, and then I was the dentist. And all these people were always falling in there getting these BC pills. Steve, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that? That is a Band-Aid, like Oragel. That is a Band-Aid. Everybody needs to have a 6-month checkup. Now, they used to have commercials on TV, Colgate, Crest, all the time. Oh, how many cavities did you have, Joey or Bobby? Oh, I only had 2 cavities. And it used to advocate for having your teeth checked every 6 months. But that's really important, whether you're a child, whether you're an adult, whether you're a senior citizen. All of these checkups are important because with children, your teeth are developing and you want them to develop properly. Now everybody's like, oh, well, those baby teeth don't really matter. You know, I'm going to get another set. Yes, that is true. But the thing is, you develop your dental behavior from your first set. If you get a hole in your tooth, or if you feel like your tooth is sensitive, you should go and check that tooth out, because just like there's a baby tooth, there's a big tooth underneath the baby tooth that could be damaged by the baby tooth, believe it or not. So that's really important to stay on top of. And then as an adult, you want to keep your teeth, because you get them starting at age 6, you start getting your molars, and it progresses on until you're 21 and you get those wonderful wisdom teeth. And you want to stay on top of all of those teeth, because you want to have a long life if you take care of your body. And in order to have long life, you need all of your teeth to eat that food to stay healthy. And 6 months is not a big deal. You just go in, let them take a few x-rays, clean your teeth up. It's like getting your car washed. Like, Steve, I'm piggyback on you with the car. Like, you don't let your car just get dirty and just stay dirty and drive around in a dirty car. You don't want to eat your food in a dirty mouth. So get to the dentist every 6 months. That's all I can tell you, if not more. I'm not going to, give you a whole bunch of facts about different things. Just go to the dentist every 6 months and get your teeth checked and cleaned. That's what I advocate for.
Thank you, Cheryl. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it, everyone. Just find the time, put it on your schedule. Every 6 months, just go ahead and go in, go get it checked. And you know what? In most cases, nothing is wrong. You just got your teeth cleaned, and now the dentist will say, here you go. Here's a free toothbrush. Keep brushing, keep flossing, especially flossing. We're going to talk about that later.
Yes.
And make sure that you just come back every 6 months. So that way you don't have to worry about missing teeth. You don't have to worry about the pain, because you're going in for regular checkups. So thanks again, Cheryl, for that. So from there, we're going to pivot right over to Michael to talk about our fitness, about exercise. I know for many of us, we're thinking like, okay, we know we should be exercising, but we probably don't really do that as often as we should. So Michael, can we talk a little bit about that from your perspective? We know it's important, but how do we get started with it? Like, how do we, broadly speaking, how do we get going on and maintain it?
Well, my two panelists can attest that getting old is not for sissies. So if it's a process, and the earlier you start taking care of yourself, like Steve says, the better off you'll be, the more longevity you'll have. And knowledge is power. And I was just, I'm no expert. I was just fortunate enough to be blessed to be around great people who happen to be medical professionals, physicians, specialists, professional athletes at many levels. I was an athlete for many years. Actually, I started working out since I was 2 years old. My mother threw me in a pool. She said, you need to know how to swim so you can save yourself. So 2.5 years old, I was in a pool. By 5, I was skiing. By 7, 8 years old, I was playing football, baseball, and basketball at a very competitive level, and kind of did well all the way up until I got to college, and then was an intercollegiate athlete. And so by the time I was 22 years old and left Irvine, I had 20 years in the fitness business on a practical level as a competitive athlete. And I found that a lot of people don't know that they don't even feel well. You as an athlete, you always have to keep your body in tune, because you're preparing your body for competition, whether that be running track, whether it be playing football, but you prepare your body. So you go through the rigors of watching your diet, trying to get rest. Most of the time you're so tired because you're multitasking all the time. You got to go to school, got to go to practice, got to do your homework, got to come home. So you got to prepare yourself. There's many people that are sedentary. They go to school, but they don't do anything. And that sedentary lifestyle over time will catch up with you. But most people don't know what they don't know. So it's knowledge is power. And so the more knowledge you get about, like Steve said, taking care of your body and your health, the better off that you'll be. And you can start at any point in time. You don't have to have been an athlete like me since I was 2 years old. You can start right now, whether you're 50 years old, 6 years old, 20 years old, 40 years old. You just one step at a time. But the first thing that I would say that's most important in terms of fitness is getting a physical. Go to the doctor and assess yourself. See where you're at. See where your numbers are at. See if there's any markers that are inflammatory markers or something that might be more serious. You definitely have to go to the doctor first. Go to the dentist. Your dental health is so important. I have so many friends that are like Cheryl that are dentists. If your teeth are messed up or your mouth is messed up, it affects your physical health. Mm-hmm. So, and then that leads to your emotional health. Mm-hmm. So I would say to anybody that wants to live a fitness lifestyle, which they should because it's preventative, it keeps you out of the ER where Steve is, or keeps you out of the dental chair when you have an abscess and you're screaming in the middle of the night, calling Cheryl saying like, oh my God, my tooth is killing me. Well, did you come to your 6-month checkups? Did you do what you're supposed to do? Now you can't do anything. Health is wealth. In order to do well and be productive in work, you have to keep yourself healthy. So I'd say, keep it simple. Start with the basics. Start with getting a physical. Go to the doctor. Look at your genetic patterns in your family. Does your family die a heart attack and stroke? Or are they they're more prone to cancer, diabetes? All those things are kind of a roadmap and a way in which you can kind of say like, well, wait a minute, most of my family dies of heart attack and stroke. That's what happened to me. So I'm going to make sure I have good cardiovascular health. So that's why I lean towards things that help me in terms of, running, walking, things that help my heart. Other people, it might be diabetes. So diet's very important. So am I eating a lot of sugar? So all those things combined are a holistic way of looking at fitness.
Thank you, Michael. This conversation is going so well. I appreciate everything you said, along with the other panelists. And one thing I'm coming away with that you just mentioned is health is wealth. And that's the reason why we're here, because it is just so important. So with that said, I want to pivot a little bit and kind of go off of what you just said, Michael, about trends. And so that's where we're going to shift next in this conversation, talking about the things that are trendy and all the trends that are out there. So what I mean by that, by trends, we know that there are a lot of trends when it comes in sort of like when it comes to nutrition. There's the paleo diet, there's the keto diet, there's the Whole30, all of that. Or even just these like, okay, I'm only going to eat certain foods and that's going to help me lose weight. And because in my mind, if I lose weight, that means I'm healthy, right? Because I look good, right? We know that there are other trends out there where they're in-home treatments when it comes to dental care, like straightening your teeth or even like whitening your teeth. So a lot of people are doing that at home instead of going to the dentist. And then on another side, on the flip side of that, and just thinking about the trends that we see on social media, there's all these boot camps, there's all of these memes and posts about, oh, these are all the exercises that you should be doing from home. And the concern about that, around that is this the right thing to do for your body? Are you harming yourself? Are you really engaging in a healthy practice based on what random people are posting online? So I'm sharing that with y'all, and that's for everyone on the panel. Can we talk about what we're seeing when you see these trends? And what should people be mindful of when it comes to, yes, that's a legitimate trend, or that's a legitimate practice, or actually, no, you should be cautious whenever you see something to that effect. So I'll let anyone start when it comes to that.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. It's comparisons. Mm-hmm. Like fitness and a fitness lifestyle is you versus you. You're trying to optimize yourself. Try to be the best you can be. And everybody's looking out. I want to look like that. I want to be like that. I want to, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. So sorry. I'm in the middle of a panel. Sorry about that.
No problem. Do you want me to, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen and allow
Okay.
him to continue.
Well, the funny thing is that Michael was my trainer. And when I first started trying to get fitness, he trained me. And so Mike is excellent at training. That's number one. These trends, this Mike just says something, is you against you. So I'm going to put a question to everyone. And I'm going to say it like this. Practice makes perfect, right? Everybody thinks that, right? Practice makes perfect. Wrong. That is wrong. Perfect practice makes perfect. You practice stuff wrong, you're gonna do it wrong. I know 100 people, I go to the gym 5 days a week, but they're not doing the right things. So the first step in dealing with trends and things of that nature is you have to have the desire to make a change in yourself. You gotta say, okay, I'm going to do this. And you have to willpower the desire, and you need to surround yourself with people who are going to encourage that you go. The next thing that you need to do is get information. Information is the power. Michael said, go to your doctor, get a baseline so that you can have that information so you can know, I have arthritis in my knees. I shouldn't be running 10 miles a day. I have cavities in my mouth. I can't eat the right foods if I wanted to. So just the information itself. In terms of trends, here's the problem right now. When we were younger, and we were younger at one time, we had 5 channels or 6 channels, 2, 4, 7, 9, whatever. And the TV cut off at 11. Now you got 700 channels, you have got 24/7 access. There's so much information out there. I'm confused on just being confused. So how do you differentiate what's good, what's not good, what's me, what's not me? Medically speaking, you can't buy into everything. You have to start somewhere. And the first place you start is you got to surround yourself with people who you trust. You're talking to people right now that went to college, that are standing before you. You don't know us, but you have to go out and get in the habit of vetting who you're talking to see if what they're saying makes sense, and then take that information and start reading about it. I'm going to shift real quickly to show you the trends. Here's the problem I have with a lot of my patients. When they go see the other doctors, they walk in and the doctor starts talking, they just listen. The doctor says A, B, C, D, F, G, and they say, okay. And I say to them, did you ask the doctor's question? He says, no, he seemed busy. I said, wait a minute. I said, listen, you have to be the squeaky wheel, because the squeaky wheel get the oil. You got to ask him questions to make sure he knows what he's talking to. You have to hold him responsible and accountable for what he's saying. And then you have to go vet if what he's saying is true. If I'm gonna get somebody to do my plumbing in my house, I'm getting 3 opinions. And from different ones to see if it's in the market, right? And it's properly stated. So my point is, when it comes to trends, you have to look at these realistically. We're in a very difficult situation, a lot of information. Start now, systematically, looking for people who you can trust. When Michael trained me, the one thing I knew is I trusted him. And how did I trust him? Because when he produced results with me, he also was very informative. So don't just go to a doctor and say, well, he's my doctor, he's not helpful. She's my dentist, but she didn't do a good job, but that's who I got. That's passive. You cannot be passive. You have to strive for excellence, and knowledge is power.
That's a good point. And now I'm going to lead off and go back to Michael about being passive, because a lot of times we're passive about where we should be proactive, right? And sometimes we are active, but then we're just passive, which is even worse. We're just like, oh, whatever, I'm in pain. Oh, whatever. I notice that my body's changing, but I'm not going to do anything about it. So we're just passive that way. So Michael, turning it back to you, a lot of times we're passive when it comes to fitness and exercising, but then we'll see a trend and we think that's the cool thing to do because we saw it online or we heard our coworkers or family members or friends talking about. So now we want to jump on that train, if you will. So can you speak to that?
That's the way society is now. Everything is quick fix. It's microwave. You want results fast. You think you can take a pill or do a quick diet and all of a sudden you're gonna look like Beyonce or whoever else you're idolizing. It does not work that way. I've been around a lot of great athletes, professional athletes, some of the best in the world. Actually, my own daughter was the top female recruit in the country a few years ago in 2 sports. And I know the level of work that she put in to get there. There's a story behind the story. It just doesn't happen like that. People just don't become millionaires unless, of course, well, at least our culture isn't used to getting the wealth passed on to us like that. But it takes work and it takes a foundation. So when I say knowledge is power, you have to, first of all, invest in yourself. It's all about self-care. We're not talking about what they're doing. Everybody's looking at what she's doing, what are you doing? How do you feel? And so if you start with the basics, get a physical, see if you're in good shape. If you're in good shape, you got a lot of options. If you have arthritis, they're limited. So if they're limited, then it's like, okay, what can I do to work around that? And then what do you like to do? Not everybody likes to run and hike and jog and everything else. There's so many different sports, especially living in Southern California. There's people out there at 5 a.m. all the way till midnight doing all sorts of stuff that can provide activity. So you got to find out what you like to do. You have to go where those people are. If you want to, and you have to be holistic. I'll tell you one thing, a great workout will never beat a poor diet. You can work out like crazy, but if you have a poor diet, you're not going to see any changes. And if you get a trainer that doesn't teach you how to fish, you need to go ahead and fire him. And when I mean that, he should be training you to be able to take care of yourself, teach you the foundation, the key aspects of it, and like parents do when they raise their children, and then send you out on your own.
Yeah,
and
it's good.
Yeah,
that's so true.
I don't want to start preaching here, but it's just, Steve and I, and I'm sure Cheryl, see trends all the time, and especially with teeth cleaning. Everybody wants to brighten their teeth. How are you going to brighten your teeth, but you didn't take care of your teeth? So you want your teeth white, but you got cavities and you have an abscess.
That's a good point. And so with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl to talk about that, because I think you touched on something, Michael, that's really important. I want to turn it to her and have her address that, because I'm sure many of us have seen the ads about, especially now more and more so. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like in the last year or two, I think it's just because we've all been quarantining at home. And then now we're realizing, oh my gosh, I haven't gone to the dentist. My teeth are not as bright as it should be, or as I would like it to be. They're not straight. So now that outside is open again, I want my teeth to look the best. So now there's all these teeth whitening and teeth straightening tools and devices that are out in the marketplace. So Cheryl, can you speak to that? Like, what does that look like, and what should we be mindful about that?
Okay. Well, like you were saying with trends, as a child, I know a lot of people used to drink a lot of coffee, but now, like you were saying, a trend. Starbucks is the trend. It's like you see the long line at the Starbucks, people have apps, and then they motivate you with all these points and things. Coffee darkens your teeth. And that's another reason why you want to go to the dentist every 6 months, so you could get all that coffee stain and grunge off of your teeth. That's a trend that has had an effect on dentistry. Another trend that has had an effect on dentistry is mouth jewelry. A lot of people get these tongue rings and lip rings. And these things are very hard on your teeth. I see patients all the time that have broken off the inside cusp of their teeth because they have that little thing in there always knocking.
Can I just add to that? I noticed another trend that there are people who are getting like gems.
Yes.
Some real, some not, but they're getting like gems like placed on their teeth, along with grills. If anybody remembers the grills, they're still doing that. They're getting gold-plated grills on their teeth.
Right. And the grills most time are not made by a dentist. So then they don't fit properly. And then these people drink all these drinks, high sugar drinks, like Michael was talking about, and have a poor diet. And as a result of wearing this ill-fitting grill, their teeth just literally disintegrate and decay. And that's another trend. All these trends are not necessarily good. And like Steve said, knowledge is power. And like we're all saying, go and get your checkup. Go and get your tune-up, get your checkup, whatever you want to call it, but go see your provider, be it medical, dental, or physical trainer. Now, as far as whitenings go, it's best that you go to your dentist and get a referral for a whitener. Usually dentists have whiteners. I have whiteners at my office, and you don't want to overdo the whitening, okay? Because whitening is an acid, and this acid, essentially you soak your teeth in this acid for 20 minutes or whatever is the designated time for that particular product. And you don't want to say, oh, like with medication, oh, I have a headache, it says take 2, I'm gonna take 4. So, oh, my teeth are really brown, so it says keep them on 20 minutes, and I'm gonna keep it on all night long. Okay.
Because I really want it white. I want it pearly white.
I want to
That way, when I go to my
white.
event
Right.
next weekend, I am set. They're gonna see me. Mhm.
And I have a personal story. Being a dentist, I never thought that that acid could really mess with your teeth like that. So I had some whitener, and I was going on a trip, and I said, okay, let me just throw this on here real quick, and maybe I'll just lie down for a little while. Well, I lied down for a little while and fell asleep with that whitener on my teeth, and I couldn't part my lips for 2 days. My teeth were so sensitive. And there's even toothpaste that'll make your teeth sensitive. So you have to be careful with these whiteners. There was this one new toothpaste, you know, since I'm a dentist, I get all the latest and the greatest. So this particular product, I'm not going to call their name, came out with this new whitening toothpaste. So I used it and I was like, my teeth just feel like glass. They're wonderful. I love this new stuff. So I went skiing with my friend, and we were up there at the ski lodge, and I was trying to, you know, I would talk and my teeth were like, I was like, is it that toothpaste? And I had to discontinue use of that toothpaste. So some of these products you see on TV are not good. And it's best if it's something with your teeth that you go see your dental provider, or if it's something for your body. Like I get texts all the time, Steve, I'm not starting to step on your toes, but I have just the product for you. You'll lose 20 pounds in a week. You know how everybody gets those texts. And I'm like, get out of here. If you want to lose weight, then you need to consult someone like Michael, or you need to consult someone like Steve, because they know better how to burn those calories and keep them off and give you the proper diet to support that type of behavior. And so that's my comment on trends.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm glad you said that, because that is some. I'm sorry, go ahead, Michael.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but you really have to check out the health professionals as well. So when you're doing your research, you're going to see a dentist, you're going to see a doctor, you want to see a dietitian and nutritionist, make sure they're board certified, make sure that they're who they say they are. And trainers, is this just a side hustle for the trainer? Or is this person that actually went through certification process and actually knows how to use the apparatus, the machines and everything else, knows how to work with people with disabilities, people that have had heart attacks, stents and everything else? You have to know that. And just it goes back to knowledge is power. You have to date people. You have to actually find out, are you who you say you are? Right. And a lot of people will build a revenue model around you. You're vulnerable. You need help. So it's like, yeah, I went to dental school and I have a little office over here, but is their license still current?
But
Talk about it. Go to the board's website and make sure that the license is still current and they don't have any complaints.
But
there are some folks that have that.
The other thing about trends, real quickly, that I always find funny about trends, because people have a desire, they want things, like Michael said, quickly. And it's so weird that the trends are set up to do something, and that is to make profit, for the people putting it out there. So they don't care about the long term. There's no money in dieting. There's no, for a real diet when you're eating properly, because they're not promoting the types of foods and stuff that are gonna make money, the dairy products, the meat company, the fish companies, all that. But I just want to say this in terms of trends. Here's the problem. If you have a problem, let's say you have you have water stain on your ceiling and you see it. And if somebody says, I tell you what, I'll fix that for you. Now, they paint the ceiling. Now look, it's gone. And you say, look, it's gone. You get immediate gratification. It looks better. But they didn't fix the leaky roof. They didn't fix the problem. They just masked the problem. And guess what? They did it quickly. So be cautious when somebody says, I can do this in 10 minutes. I can help you. Because typically it's that guy that comes and paints the ceiling, does not adjust the leak. And then what? Next time it rains, he's got your money and gone, and the spot comes back. So we're just talking about real medicine here. Look, the bottom line is straight talk. There's nobody that's going to escape the inevitable. We are all in the process of moving on to the next phase of life, which whatever your religious beliefs are. So this is not an if, it's a when. What Mike said earlier was, how do we be this person? I used to take care of patients. I would have a patient, both of them were 80 years old when they died, both 80. One guy, when he was perfectly healthy, running around at the gym with Mike, hanging out until he was 78. For 2 years, he had health challenges and he passed away, no problem. The other guy was in and out of the hospital from age 50, in and out of the hospital, ended up in a nursing home for 7 years, and finally, at 80, he passed away. Who you want to be? If you have a choice and a chance, who you want to be? And I'm going to tell you something right now, and I'm talking to you passionately because I'm very passionate about this comment. Whatever got you from here to where you are now, whatever got you here, it's done. I'm glad, hope you enjoy it. The issue here and the question here, where you going from here to there? Because what's in front of you, there's still hope and opportunity. When I'm in that ER, somebody dies on me and I look at them, there's nothing I can say or do to change the outcome. There is no hope or opportunity. When I walk into a room and I see somebody, I don't care what their state of being is, there's hope and opportunity. Are you just going to continue the same trend spiraling down? Or are you going to change and say, I'm going to face a different direction? And no matter if I can take one little step at a time, I'm going to take the right steps by surrounding myself with knowledgeable people that's going to give me real talk and be honest with me. Yeah. So that is the process now for us as people in general. So it's time to face the right direction and make these positive changes to stop the trend of just spiraling down out of control.
You're right about that. That's for sure. So what I will say is, on that note, I'm going to pivot a little bit now, because just like everyone else, I'm sure in the audience listening to everyone on this panel, we get it. All right. We get it now. Don't follow every trend, because not all of them is going to help us out, or it's to our benefit, our truly long-term benefit. And we know that we need to figure out practical ways of trying to be healthy and how to think about this on a regular basis. So let's say here we are. All right, I made that appointment. I'm in the doctor's office now, right? Whether it's a physician or the dentist. I made that appointment with that trainer, right? We're here now. So to all of you, and I will start with Cheryl, but to all of you, tell me what is that one question or two or three questions, right, that I should be asking, or what should I be looking for when I go there and meet that person, that provider, right? So Cheryl, I'll start with you on that.
Okay. Well, of course, there's a lot of apprehension when people come to the dentist because they're afraid. They've had pain in the past. They've had bad experiences with bad dentists. And they're like, well, what is it going to take for me to get my teeth fixed? And like Steve and Mike were saying, this is not something that happens instantly. It takes time. Like Steve said, in the past, if you're 40 years old, you've had 40 years of bad habits. You've got to change those habits. I always tell my patients, Rome was not built in a day. We have got to, number one, get whatever's bad out or fixed, and then we have to maintain. And this is real important, and it's your responsibility to do that maintenance. So basically, it's about being mature, like the message we've been giving, and being responsible. So there's no need to fear. I'm going to prevent you from pain. Now, there may be some pain along the way, but it's going to be minimal. And that's the reason why dentists give that needle that everyone hates. But actually, that takes away all the pain. It only hurts for a minute, and then it's over. And then we can go in there and drill and fill. And I know you can't stand that noise. And you're like, oh, that noise.
Nitrous.
Right? You can have nitrous. We can give you a little Valium if you bring somebody to bring you. And, but it's just, really important that you just follow through. Like in tennis, you have to follow through.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael. Someone's approached a trainer and they're like, all right, I'm here. So what should they be looking for, or what should they ask once they're right then and there getting ready to work out?
Well, first of all, they have to be realistic with themselves and see why they want to get a trainer. If they choose to get a trainer, it's like, what do you want from the trainer? Some people need a trainer for motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Some people need a trainer for education, to understand how to use machines and how to exercise. Some for accountability. I just need somebody that I have to pay, so I know I'll show up at the gym because I'm paying him $100 an hour. So, and then, once you figure out why you're actually employing a trainer, then you have to find out exactly, a little bit about them. Who have you trained? What have you dealt with?
Yeah.
What's the blueprint for me? Because it should be a tailored plan for you. It shouldn't be one fits all.
Yeah.
You're just going to do 4 exercises each body part, and we're going to have you do 100 push-ups a day. For what? What is that doing for me? So they should be asking you, and they should also be including, your family members. They should know a little bit about do you have a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or girlfriend at home that is going to be insecure because you're going to see a trainer? They need to bring everybody in. You need to have a support group, because a lot of people go get a trainer and then the people at home sabotage their training.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're starting to eat better, but then I have a friend that has a wife that's Italian. She gets her feelings hurt because he's not trying to eat all the pasta all the time because he keeps gaining weight and he's working out like crazy, but he can't get any results because he's hurting his wife's feelings. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to bring the wife in and say, listen, this is what we're trying to do. He does want to eat your food. He can't eat as much of it. So pasta night's going to be on Sunday, and all the rest of the week, he's going to eat more fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. So it's really trying to, one, know why you're getting a trainer. Once you get the trainer, find out who this trainer is, what he's done, and then trying to get a plan that's tailored specifically for whatever your needs are.
Yeah, thank you for that. So now I'm going to turn it over to Stephen. Kind of like to your point earlier, a lot of times people go into the doctor's office, and you've experienced this. They will sit there and then you're talking to them, you're asking questions, you're talking, and they're just sitting there. Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor. Okay, doctor. And then that's it. It's not even a conversation, right? So with that said, and kind of going along with this whole thing about asking questions, once they're in the doctor's office, what kind of questions would you want them to ask of you as they're having that conversation with you because you're not too busy. They have this 15, 20 minutes with you. So this is their time, right? So what questions would you want them to ask of you at that point?
Well, I would say, first and foremost, when you go to a doctor's office, you should have your list of questions you want to answer written down. That means you're thinking about it. Don't walk in there and say, okay, doc, I'm here, fix me. He's going to look at you. He's going to ask you the questions that he thinks to ask, and he may not ask the questions you have, answer questions that you have, but you didn't ask him. He's going to be satisfied because you're going to walk out the room and he's going to say something, next patient. So he's going to take as much time as you demand. And there are demand, and I'm just telling you, I'm empowering you. So there's one, always write down your list of questions and concerns. Because what a doctor fears the most is a knowledgeable patient.
Yep.
The doctor fears the most is a knowledgeable patient. You know, doctor, I was reading so and so and so. All of a sudden, the doctor now, he has to go into his bag and say, wait a minute, I'm not just talking to some guy off the street. I'm dealing with somebody. I have to treat them more carefully because they're going to ask me questions. So you're setting the tone for your doctor's visit. So you make that list. Number two, put your shame aside. There is no shame in your game. I don't care if you're 500 pounds, 100 pounds. I don't care if you have this problem, that problem. You're there because he or she is a medical professional and you need to have issues addressed. And you should be proud that you're standing there taking care of your business. And if you're walking in there ashamed or embarrassed or feeling humble like this and you're coloring down, the doctor's not going to be able to help you. And you're wasting your time being there. So you got to say, doc, I respect your time. So I'm going to get right to the point. Here are my questions that I have. So make that list. Don't be ashamed and then get educated. And he should be, if he's a good doctor, he'll be willing to do that. He may not be the doctor for you because if he's not willing to do that, you need to say, you know what? He's not the doctor for me. He's not the mechanic for me. She's not the dentist for me. He's not my trainer if he cannot relate where I'm coming from. You have to take control of this. If you leave it up to the doctors, you become a chart on a doctor's desk. And nobody wants to be just a chart on somebody's desk.
I think that's a really good point. And as you were speaking, I was just thinking about how here we are. When we schedule an appointment, a lot of times we don't get an appointment that week. Sometimes that appointment is like 6-8 weeks out. So you put in all that effort, you're calling in, waiting on hold to schedule that appointment. You're trying to coordinate the time. You finally get that appointment. Now, a lot of times you got to take time off from work. You got to drive down there, find parking. You're walking in, you sit in the office, and if you got a new insurance provider, all of that, now you got to fill out paperwork. All right. Then you get into the doctor's office and you're sitting there, you get your vitals checked, you sit there. Now the doctor comes in. You spent how many hours of effort just to see this person? And you're not going to ask questions? You're just going to let them take control? The doctor's already being paid no matter what. So now you should take advantage of this time and get your questions in. Maximize this opportunity because you don't know when's the next time you're going to go see that doctor again. It will be months out. Take this time, ask those questions because you are essentially paying for it. Right? Even if you have insurance and you think, oh, I only had a $5 copay, you're still paying for it, right? So the doctor gets paid no matter what. Take advantage of this time with the doctor, with the trainer and say, look, here are my questions. This is what I want to know. And they will assist you accordingly because you are driving the conversation to specifically to what you need. It's not just some broad type of conversation. Oh, make sure you eat your fruit and vegetables. All right, see you next time. So make sure that you're being smart about this. I'm sorry, Michael, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that you know, that's all about self-care. You have to want to care for yourself. Yep. The whole fitness lifestyle, the true fitness lifestyle is about doing the best to optimize yourself, to care for yourself. You do it with everything else that you do. When you buy a car, when you purchase a house, you investigate it, you save for it, you find out what the rules are. It's the same. How could you not do it for yourself? So, you know, yeah. And the unfortunate thing is that we're the lucky ones. I mean, we're educated. You got Irvine alumni here. Most of people here are college educated. They might have insurance plans. Think of the millions of African Americans that don't.
Yeah.
They can't go to the doctor. They can't.
Right.
They don't even know that they should go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're in food deserts where they can't even get proper nutrition. There's no Whole Foods. There's no Sprouts. There's nothing in their neighborhood like that. So
Yeah.
it's really tough. So for all of us that
It is tough,
have
yeah.
all the tools available to us, it's a shame for us to waste it.
Yeah. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up with just this one last question before we turn it over to Q&A. So for everyone that has typed in their questions in the Q&A, we have it noted, as we mentioned to you a moment ago. If you think of any other questions, please feel free to go to the Q&A now to get them in. If you already asked your question, we got it. You don't need to state the question again, so don't worry about that. But if you think of something else, feel free to go ahead and type it in there. So before I turn it over to Q&A, one question that I do want to ask that I know is top of mind for many people, it has to do with children's health, right? For many of us, we are a parent, or we are a guardian, or we are a very concerned uncle or aunt, right? So we do at times, maybe at some point, maybe not full time, but at some point we have children in our care. So with that said, maybe just briefly tell us, and I'll start with you, Cheryl, how can we consider healthy habits or healthy lifestyle habits for our children when it comes to dental care, medical care, or even exercise? So again, Cheryl, I'll start with you.
Okay. It starts as an infant. Your pediatrician will probably recommend to you that you not let your baby sleep with a bottle in their mouth, because that rots their teeth. I'm just putting plain language for you. You want to make sure the children, like Michael was saying, eat fruits and vegetables. Even if it's baby food, fruits and vegetables is very important. Now, they need their meats for protein, but you want to have natural fruits and vegetables for your children to eat at all times. Candy, of course, I don't recommend any candy. I personally don't even eat candy, ever. Maybe some chocolate at Halloween and that's it, because I don't eat candy. Because candy is sticky, and you have to brush your children's teeth. You have to encourage them to brush regularly, twice a day. You have to encourage them to, like you said, floss. We even encourage children to floss. And the reason it is so important to floss is because a lot of times people don't know they have cavities in between their teeth. And that's how you get them. Because when you chew, food goes down in between your teeth and it gets lodged there, and you can't sometimes get it out with a toothbrush. So if you floss, then that keeps that area clean. So we encourage, water, of course. Milk is good with your calcium. Fresh fruits, vegetables, low-fat cheese, breadsticks, low-fat crackers, and yogurt. Usually plain unsweetened. If you mix some fruit in it, it'll make it a little more appetizing. But you shouldn't get your children used to eating a lot of sugar, because in the end, it's gonna tear up everything, the body, the teeth, all of it. So if you start them on a low sugar diet, then they won't even develop a taste for it. So that's my recommendation, to try to keep your children on a very strict diet. And sodas, I'm sorry, no, I never drank sodas unless we went out, it was a special occasion, then we may have had a soda, but no. And these, fast foods, like I personally own a preschool, and we have a food program, and we provide breakfast, lunch, and snack. And it is what we call a heart healthy diet. And that's what you should practice at home.
Okay. Thank you, Cheryl, for that. Michael, I'll turn it over to you. A lot of our kids We're experiencing a lot of high childhood obesity. A lot of them are just sitting in front of the TV, playing video games, or they're on their phones. They don't want to move. So what can we do?
It will be a parent. So children learn what they live. So you have to emulate a healthy lifestyle. You have to make sure that the foods they're eating are, it's a balanced diet, like Cheryl said, more fruits and vegetables, and the importance of water. Get them involved in activities as early as possible. Don't have them over specialized. Don't fall into the trap where you're living through your kids and they can only play football or basketball and no other sports. And if they're not committed, then they won't get that D1 scholarship to UC Irvine or USC. That's a bunch of crap. Most kids that get involved in athletics, there's very few that are the 1/2 of 1% that get a full ride to any school. So it's just not going to happen that way. And for those that do, that by the time they're like in the 6th grade, so people are after them. So I'd say, make sure that, just like say, good parenting is exposing them, making sure that they had good physical activity. They might not get it at school anymore. We used to have PE, used to do a lot of extracurricular activities. Most guys I knew and girls played all the sports they wanted to. There was season for sports. Nowadays, people are playing one sport all year round, which leads to MCL injuries for soccer, for a lot of the girls. Their knees are blown out and everything is hurting. By the time they get to high school, they're done. They're beat up. So everything in moderation, expose them to everything, make things fun, not torture, and make sure that they stay away from the junk foods as much as possible.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. So over to you, Steve. Steven, what are your thoughts about that?
Okay, children's health. Understand, children come into the world and they're under your care for a certain period of time. Most things that they do are under your watch. So the one thing I learned, and I learned this from my daughter many years later, when I would tell my daughter something, she said, "Dad, I would be looking at you, counting the hairs on the back of your head because I am not hearing what you're saying." She said most of the lessons that she learned from me is watching me do what I do, watching me go to the gym, watching me eat nutritiously, watching the way my wife and I engaged in relationship building. They're watching this. So that when she got older, she reflecting back, those were the most profound lessons. So, they always say on the airplane, when the oxygen mask comes down, who do you put the oxygen on first? You can't put the oxygen. Kids, don't drink sodas and don't eat this and go to the gym. And you throwing down Coca-Cola and eating fast food and candy. Don't do what I say. And then what's that famous of your mama and daddy? You may say, don't do what I do what I say do.
What I say. Don't ask no questions.
Yeah. So my point being to you, you are the caregiver for your children. You lead by your example. And you have to teach them good habits through your good habits. And so that's the best way. So what you eat, they should be eating, and you should be eating good so that they get in the habit of eating good. Now, when they get 18 years old and they say, I'm going to go eat pork all day long, guess what? They've had 18 years of good, wholesome eating to build a tremendous foundation. As Michael just said, and from the health perspective, and Cheryl will attest, when your teeth get messed up when you're 13, 14, 15, 19, 20, you don't have the money to go pay and have your teeth fixed. And now you don't eat right now because you couldn't eat right if you were taught how to eat right. So this is how you can best impact the health of your children, by you being an exemplary example of what good nutrition, good dental, and good hygiene and good exercise looks like.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This was great. I'm just so happy. Y'all, like Arnesia said from the beginning, get your pen and paper ready, or whatever device you're using to take notes, get ready. I really hope you took that advice and did that, because these 3 people shared a lot of great information. So what we're going to do now is keep the conversation going and shift it over to Q&A. We have about a dozen questions, but we do have a limited time. So I'm hoping we can get through these pretty quickly. So it's going to be rapid fire. So I know we were very detailed with our previous answers, while we really appreciated that, let's now try and get through these as brief as possible, okay? So with that said, first question, this is for Stephen. I am interested in the importance of genetic testing, especially with the many ethnic blended families. So can you speak to that from your knowledge and perspective regarding that?
Yes, this is, it's really important. I was talking to someone yesterday about this concept of sickle cell anemia. And two parents had sickle cell trait, and they married and they had a child that developed sickle cell anemia. Neither of the parents had the anemia, but they had the trait. Possibly if they had had genetic testing and then they had had some type of education about the risks and benefits, they could have still had the child, but it would at least be an informed decision. So in terms of just when you should get tested and stuff, I don't know how to tell you to everybody go get tested to see if you have any medical problems. But there are some screening tests that you do that we generally do, and we find things. And if you find something, definitely be proactive in getting that genetic testing so that you can make informed decisions about moving forward.
That's a good point, because that's where that passive thing can kind of come about. You go through the process, you get tested, and then you realize that there's all these markers and you may have a tendency of a particular disease or condition. You're like, all right, I'll deal with that later. And you sit back. Now's the time to be proactive and see what this is all about and if there's anything you can take action on, right? So next question, then this is for Cheryl. Implants versus dentures. What is the difference and what do you recommend? Oh, you're muted, Cheryl.
The difference is cost. Implants range from $2,500 on up per tooth. Okay, so dentures range from $500 to maybe $2,000 or $3,000, and that's it. And you can cover all of your tooth loss with one denture versus an implant. It's just individual teeth. Even though you can get 2 implants and make a bridge to cover a span of lost teeth, but it is still going to be quite a bit more expensive. And it is a very extensive process because they have to implant the post first, and then that's got to all heal, and then they come back and put the little toggle on for the crown. So you're looking at about a year process to get an implant put in versus a denture can be made in 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next question. This is for Mike. What is the recommended time to exercise? And how effective is the recumbent bike at the gym?
Well, the recumbent bike it's fine. The only problem is that the more muscle groups you're using, the more you'll burn body fat. So if you're doing something like the treadmill, you're walking, you're moving your arms. Recumbent bike, you're kind of sitting and just using your legs, but it will do the job. What was the first part of that question?
Oh, let me go back.
The amount of time.
Yeah.
Recommended time to exercise.
Recommended time is it's whenever you want to. So, I used to be an evening workout person. Mm-hmm. And then because when I ended up having kids and everything else, I had to switch to early mornings. So I'm really a morning workout person now. I find that in the morning, it's a little bit better because it helps you not have bad habits later on in the day. So if you put in the work early in the morning, you did your walk, you start off with your little smoothie or your little shake, then throughout the day, you're not more inclined to go ahead and mess that workout up by eating McDonald's. However, at the end of the day, a lot of people like to work stress off. So they want to get dressed and get ready for work. And then after work, they want to just, have time afterwards to get their stress off. I find that people in the evening are people that are trying to relieve stress, so they're not as friendly. I'm just being honest. People in the morning are always like cheery. Good morning. You got a lot of that vibe going on, but it's really up to you during the afternoon, whenever you want. makes no difference.
Okay, great. So next question, I think this is for Stephen, because he didn't say for which panelist, but the question is there anything that one can do to prevent Alzheimer's if it runs in your family?
Wow. Alzheimer's is a big, difficult topic to discuss because first is you have to make the diagnosis, and sometimes it has things to do with bigger things going on. For example, many strokes happening could cause Alzheimer's to speed up on someone that has it. So Alzheimer's it's very difficult. The best thing, there are some research that shows that certain foods like eating turmeric and stuff of that nature, they found in India that the Indians eat more turmeric and that they have less dementia, Alzheimer's and stuff. But it's really hard to say. I think that what's really difficult is that if you're not taking care of your diabetes, your hypertension, all those other things, then you're going to predispose yourself that if you do develop Alzheimer's, which is some type of disease that you cannot predict, nor can you do anything to stop. So the best thing to do is to try to mitigate and make sure you're taking care of all the other things so that even if you do start experiencing some of those symptoms, that they're not as devastating that they would be if you had like bad vascular disease or diabetes and stuff, which is going to expedite or speed up those types of diseases.
And keep your brain stimulated, because my mother has dementia, and Alzheimer's and dementia it's a tough disease. It's
tough.
They start to lose their mind, and so also my mother has hearing loss. She has acoustic neuroma, where there's a tumor with the acoustic nerve, and so that also exacerbates the dementia. I have hearing aids, and you might not be able to see them, and I didn't wear them for many years. I really didn't like to hear. I mean, I like to hear in mono. I didn't hear people's conversations behind me. It just made life easier for me. But then all of a sudden I went to the doctor. They said, you need to really wear your hearing aids because you might get the onset of dementia because you're canceling out all those other stimulating noises like the horns and the birds and all the things that you need to hear to keep your brain stimulated. So I would say that, just like I said, go to the doctor, get checked out. If you have loss of hearing,
And to Mike's point, my father-in-law is 98 years old, and he drives a convertible Cadillac, and he plays dominoes every morning with two other gentlemen who are in their 60s, and he wins. He's counting dominoes. He cheats. He cheats, which is part of playing dominoes if you ever played dominoes.
Is he one of those people that call out your tiles, like he knows what you have, like go ahead.
Right. But the point I'm making is he can count the number, he can score. When he gets 15, give me my money. Where's my 15? I mean, and he's 98. And I think the playing of the dominoes, to Mike's point, it does engage his mind and keeps him sharp where he thinks and he's actually utilizing it, hanging around with younger people. It's, because what happens, I know that for elders, when all their friends and loved ones start dying away and they have less contact, they become isolated, they stop utilizing their brain, and then that can't. I don't know if you call that Alzheimer's, dementia, or is it just my brain starts to deteriorate because I'm not using it? But that Mike's just made a very good point. So I just wanted to add
Thank you for that. So I want to keep it going. Like I said, want to try and get through as many questions as possible before it's time for us to wrap up. But here's the next question, staying with you, Stephen. The question is, I remember getting a physical once a year as a kid. Now it seems like in order to see your doctor, something has to be wrong with your body, especially now with COVID-19. What's the best way, or how should one approach scheduling a physical with their physician?
Be aggressive. Be proactive. You have to, if somebody told you, I always use this with my patients, they say, I don't have time or it's too hard. And I tell them this, if I told you there's $10 million waiting for you in the South Pacific on this little island, I'm not gonna tell you how to get there. You got 5 days to get there. I guarantee you 99.975% of the people will find a way. When something is important to us, we make it happen. So I'm gonna say, you cannot accept, they don't have time, it's COVID. No, you gotta say, you know what? hey, I'm an Irvine alumni. I went to Irvine. If I can make that, I can get a doctor's appointment. And that's how you have to approach it.
Thank you. Next question is for Cheryl. Do you recommend water picks, especially for those that are getting older?
Yes, I love water picks. Water picks are really good because you can mix in other things with the water, like Listerine or baking soda or some other type of oral rinse that will contribute to the removal of the debris in between your teeth. Once again, like I said, when you chew, stuff gets lodged in between your teeth, and water picks are excellent for removing that, those materials. And it's not, sometimes people floss too hard and they cut their gums because they saw and carrying on, when you're really just supposed to gently go down on each side of the triangle of tissue in between your teeth. The water pick is not as deleterious to the periodontium because it's just a water flow that is just flushing out the debris. And then along with that, maybe has some PerioGard or baking soda that is foaming this bacteria and debris out of your gum pockets.
Got it. And on that, I'm going to stick with you for this next question. What are the dangers of implants?
Okay, there's really no danger. I can't come up with any danger. It's just, you know, it's surgery. So if your body is up to having surgery and not rejecting anything, then implant, there's no danger. I don't think there's any dangers. I've never heard of any.
Okay, great. Next question, I'm going to point this over to you, Michael. Is it okay to work out if you haven't eaten yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, some people don't like to eat before they work out. Other people do. So it really depends. You know, it's all individual choice. There's no right or wrong.
Thank you.
Just work out.
Do it. Like the slogan, just do it.
And I'm so tired of hearing the excuse. I used to hear the excuse all the time. It's like, well, you know, I'm just big boned. Like I've never seen a fat skeleton. Have you? So you're not big boned. You just not putting the work in.
Yeah.
So you got to be realistic with this. Be honest with yourself. Okay.
Right. All right. So we're going to close out the Q&A really right here with these next couple of questions. So with that said, Stephen, this is for you. The importance of knowing your blood type. It's around that. It seems like most people don't know what their blood type is, but it seems like there's some significance to that. So can you speak to that? Like, does it matter? Do we really need to know that?
Say you're in a car accident and you need a blood transfusion. If you have a sticker, if you already know your blood type, then they can make it easier to match. Or sometimes you can be the universal donor, and that means you can be type O where you can donate to anybody. So the different types of blood means you can only receive certain bloods from certain people. So other than that, I don't think it's going to add or take away from your life, except in those emergency situations when that information is needed to be needs to let at a very quickly. And like I said, in a case of an emergency surgery or somewhere, you need blood transfusion.
Okay, that's good to know. So with that said, we need to know our blood type because you never know when that information is needed.
Yeah.
So next question is for you, Stephen, again. What do you do when your doctor ignores your questions and thinks you're a nuisance because you keep continuing to ask questions and ask for help?
You're fired.
Yeah, that does it. Again, then it's like anything else. When your accountant acts that way, or when your lawyer acts that way, or this is a relationship, and I want you to take it. And a doctor is a person. We call them doctor, but they're a person. They breathe, they sleep, they have good days, bad days, and they can be wrong. And they have to be sometimes informed. Hey, doc. I was talking to you and you seem to be ignoring me. You'd be surprised when you tell a doctor how that's not too. If you let them get away with it and you're sitting there taking it, then they will continue dishing it out. So I would recommend, if the doctor is ignoring you and maybe they're having a bad day, you can say, "Doc, are you having a bad day? Why do you ask?" Because, I'm asking you questions, you seem to be ignoring me. I mean, that's you being proactive and asking honest questions, as Michael said. If they don't feel like, if they get insulted or something, then maybe they're not the doctor for you. I'll tell you guys this, I hate lawyers, hate them. But when I need one, I want to know them by their first name. Bobby, I got a problem. That's the relationship you got to have with your doctor, that you can call them up and they know you well enough. That's Mike. Hey, bring him on in. Hey, doc, that's the relationship you need to have. Same thing with a relationship with your plumber or your electrician or your trainer. So
that's a good point. It's all about showing them, because it could truly very well be that whoever you're talking to, they're just having a bad day and they don't even realize what they're doing.
Amen.
Or it could be it's intentional, they're just being dismissive. So now it's just like, hey, you know what? Let me remind them what's going on here. Remind them like, hey, you are supposed to be helping me. Don't dismiss me. I'm asking you questions, so you're supposed to answer me in a professional manner.
Right. And there is
that matters.
There is medical racism.
There is that. Oh, that's another webinar.
Yeah, it does exist.
We're not going to touch that now.
I know.
That's another webinar, but it is very true. And so for us to call them out on the fact that, hey, you're not answering my question versus, leading with, I think you're being prejudicial or racist. Right. We're not going to do that. We're just going to say, hey, I don't think you're answering my question. And then at one point, if you're asking questions, maybe it'll remind them that, okay, I have to pay attention. So we got to think of it that way.
I just want to say on the I hate lawyers thing, I don't really hate lawyers, but I am making the point that I know I need to have them.
Yeah.
I love lawyers. I used to date
I'm glad you clarified that because we have a few lawyers on the line. And I'm glad you cleared that up. So that's, yes. But on that note, we're going to wrap it up with this final question. What I would like to ask from each of you, just a brief statement that you want us all to sort of walk away with. So if we don't remember anything else that you shared with us today, what is one thing that you want each of us to come away with from this discussion? And Cheryl, I'll start with you, then pivot to Michael, and then end with Stephen.
Okay, my first and main message is do not fear the dentist. As I've been saying, go and get your teeth checked regularly. Don't put it on back burner. Walgreens and CVS are not your friends. Go and get your teeth checked and eat properly. Don't eat a lot of junk and candy because it will wear your teeth out.
Mm-hmm. And like she said earlier, don't forget to floss.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Michael, next to you.
Yeah, it's not just about the commitment. Commitment to get you started. It's about consistency. You stay consistent, you'll be fine. Start this day forward. You can start at any point in time. The only thing that's stopping you from being fit is you. Remember, it's self-care. Self-care is about you being the best you can be, optimizing your genetics, optimizing your health, and and relax. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yep. Yep. All right, Stephen, you have the last word.
Every morning that I wake up, I thank God for this gift, and it is the gift of opportunity. And my goal at the end of each day is to put a check mark on my calendar of life saying, good day. I don't care if I'm shoveling dirt or if I'm laying on some white sand beach in Africa or something. My point is that every day is an opportunity for each of us to take on the wonderful challenges and opportunities that we have. I want every one of you to love yourself enough to take care of yourself. And then to use these opportunities, this God gift, this given gift, if you woke up this morning, to embrace this idea that each day, I may not know today, I'll learn what I don't know, and I'll just keep building and building. And then little by little, you'll get to New York. You'll be able to get to where you're trying to go. Or at least you'll do the one thing that we all want to do. And it's always been about. It's never been about getting any place. It's always been about enjoying the journey. So I wish all of you the best health-wise, and face the right direction that you want to go to, and enjoy the process of traveling. God bless.
Thank you so much for that. And on that note, like Stephen said, it is a journey. Every day that we are able to wake up is a gift, because there are many people who did not wake up this morning. And a lot of times it could have been prevented. They could have had an extended journey. They could have had extra days because of how they manage their health, because of the way that they interacted and been proactive with their doctors, with a fitness trainer, and being mindful of the foods they're eating and how often they move. So let's take that as a reminder and just think about what can we do to extend this journey and add extra days, months, and years to our lives, so that way we can continue to have a fulfilled life with our family members, our loved ones, with our friends. So as we said earlier, it's a process. Invest in yourself, take it one day at a time, and think about that. So once again, thank you so much to our panelists. You dropped a lot of gems, and I took a lot of notes while you all were talking, and I hope everyone else in this audience did the same thing. And so, yes, again, just think about how you invest in yourself in this journey, and just really just think about nutrition, exercise, seeing your doctors regularly. It is so, so important, and we're saying it over and over again like a broken record, but it is really true. So thank you all so much again, and I will turn it over to Arnesia to continue to close this out.
Again, thank you so much for all the wealth of knowledge that was shared today. We appreciate everyone who attended the webinar. Definitely the panelists, you were so engaging and so authentic and so real and just raw, in the sense of we don't have to walk away wondering what we should do. Now we know what we should do. So we want to say thank you. Moving forward, we like to host giveaways at the end. And so what we're going to do is now go into the giveaways. And I hope you're all ready with the questions. No, I'm just joking. We're actually just going to pull names. That was just so that you can take good notes so that you can keep them for yourself. And with that being said and done, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. I already have everyone in the wheel. I will spin the wheel, and you will be a winner. We had one call-in participant. If you are still on the line, we will need you to give us your name and your email address before you hang up. Each person that I call who wins, it will be 3 people. You will need to type in the chat your name and your email address. So the first person up is Elton L. Woo! Oh, no, sorry. Evelyn E. Evelyn E. Sorry about that. Evelyn E. So Evelyn E., if you can put your name in the chat, and if you can put next to it your email address, that would be great. Evelyn, are you here?
Yeah, she's here. She's also known as Sugar Fraser Elston.
Oh, okay. So if she could go ahead and put her name in the chat and her email address, that'd be great. And then we're gonna remove her, and we're gonna go to the next person.
And what are the winners getting, Arnesia?
1 second.
Okay.
Courtney Hayes. Courtney Hayes, if you can put your name and your email address in the chat, each participant will be receiving a $25 gift card to, I think, Amazon. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And so if you want those Amazon cards, come on now, put your name in the chat with your email.
You can either put it in the chat or send us a private message through the chat if you feel more comfortable with that. But either way, you got to let us know so you can get your gift card.
Right. Is Courtney Hayes here? Yay, go Courtney, congratulations. We're gonna spin one more time, and this is the last drawing.
Good luck.
Lorna W. Lorna, congratulations. If you could put your name and email in the chat, that would be great. Lorna, are you here? Are you still with us? You have to be here and present to win. Yes. Okay.
All right.
Good. So we have our 3 winners. Congratulations. And I will turn it back over to John.
Well, I just want to say thank you again to everyone for your support, your participation today. This was phenomenal. I mean, I've known these folks for a long time. Let's just say that, over 40 years. And these 3 were just, there are no words, seriously. You guys were good. Thank you. We have the best of the best at Irvine. This is wonderful. And despite our Steve almost trying to get us in the doghouse with our attorneys, Miss Rhonda and Lolita, we're going to reach out to you guys also, because you know we need some legal help. So I just want to say thank you. You know, again, this is our year anniversary, and we're going to keep going because the information here is invaluable. And we're going to ask people, please share this with everyone, because we're getting the best of the best. And that's what UCI Black Alumni represents, is the best of the best. So with that, I also want to add that this event is being recorded, and everyone that was here today will receive a copy of it. So if you need it or you want any of the other webinars, reach out to the UCI Black Alumni. You can get that. And one thing I didn't mention earlier too was that I want to say congratulations and thank you to the Black Alumni Chapter. This past Wednesday, many of you may have heard, was Giving Day, and the money there goes to students for scholarships. Black folk led the way. That's how we do. And that's how we did this morning with these 3 panelists. So, and also a special thanks to and a shout out to Arnesia and Sandra. Arnesia does a lot of background work and a lot of work that you don't see, but she is just absolutely phenomenal. And Sandra, we simply call you the hostess with the mostest, sister. So I get to work with these 2 talented people. They make me look good. And I'm sure our panelists can tell you that brother's always been doing that. We knew him when he was a freshman. So again, I want to say thank you to everyone.